was, yeah, amazing. I've seen that many times now, as I'm sure Laura has, and I think every time I watch it I still get a little bit emotional. It just so beautifully and articulately demonstrates the challenges that we still face as queer people. So a big thank you to everyone in the film who shared their story. It's such a challenging thing to do, to, you know, share your life story and your personal narrative, but I know that you are making such a huge difference, so thank you. On that note, should we meet some of the folks in the film? It's not really meet, is it? Because I suspect many of you know these faces. But I'd like to invite to the stage Jenny, Zach and Emric from the film. Come on up. We're also super lucky to be joined by John Alex, who uses they, she, he pronouns, who last week was announced as the inaugural winner of the Department for Human Services Essay Pride Award as part of the 7 News Young Achiever Essay Awards. So come on up. And last but certainly not least, I'm sat in the wrong chair. Oh, that's okay. No, that's fine. Charlotte, who uses she, her pronouns, who is a proud First Nations trans woman and winner of the inaugural 2019 NODUC Essay Essay Award for LGBTIQ Person of the Year. So, look, some of my favourite people. This is very exciting. This is the first time you've all seen the film in full. Keen to get some initial reactions. How was it? How did you find it? Open to whoever wants to be the tribute.
Hi. So initially I was really happy to see it. Even though I was dealing with Arthur in the background there, who also had very good reviews. I think they really enjoyed it as well. It was nice to see so many communities within the queer community be represented, and I think that's really important, is that this fight has been decades. This is going on for decades, but it's only now that it's starting to be introduced than more than just a gay, even down to Idaho, the name of Idaho being changed to IDAHOBIT shows inclusivity within the community, and I think that's really important.
Great. Zach, Jenny, stars the film.
This one's working now. Yeah, it's a fabulous film. Congratulations to everyone who put it together. Wasn't good? Now, I just hope that there's a few state and maybe even federal politicians and people might have the opportunity to have a look at this. We'll certainly be spreading it around. I think it's going on Facebook and other places.
Yeah, we've uploaded it to our social media and it will be available on our website as well. So really the intent is for it to be a conversation starter. I know many of you in the room will already know these experiences because they are also your experiences. But really what we want this to be is a conversation starter for our allies to do exactly what Matt and I were chatting about earlier, to continue the long journey of community education, and for that really to be a point of discussion. So we've got some discussion cards on your tables that you were provided with that we really hope help you facilitate that. Zach, over to you, mate.
Yeah, no, thank you to those who helped put it together. It's always quite confronting when you've shared personal aspects of yourself to then kind of see that back on screen. But you know that in spaces like this, seeing it for the first time when you're amongst your community, it eases being that little bit more vulnerable. It's always terrifying thinking that that's going out to ministers and then just to, general cisheads who, some are allies and some are the cisheads okay? So, but yeah, I guess for me, part of that film, you know, a lot of people hear me harp on about healthcare, and you know, because so many of the things, you know, you folks raised, you know, the mental health statistics and so many of those things and other aspects of what we do, like being able to have a family, like being able to access healthcare should be a basic human right, and that's why I did that film, and that's being able to see that back today and tonight with you folks is amazing.
Great. All right. I was going to throw you another question, but you look like you've got an answer to this one.
The first one? This is on. I would like to preface it with saying I always love hearing all of you speak, especially you, Jenny. It really highlighted the intersectionality of the queer community for me. Like, we had Kelly, who is not here tonight, up there as a amazing queer and disability activist. We had gender diversity, we had families, and even on the staff tonight there's a bit more diversity, and I think we are a diverse community, and like none of us are truly none of us truly get inclusivity unless all of us get inclusivity. You can't really get rid of homophobia unless you get rid of ableism, unless you get rid of racism, unless you get rid of sexism, because all of those things are entwined and they all like exacerbate each other. So I want to thank everyone who was in that film. I think you did all an amazing job, and I love you all.
So much love on the panel. Oh, it's very lovely. So I'll move us on to the second question. This year marks the 50th anniversary of the murder of Dr. George Duncan. His death led to South Australia becoming the first state in Australia to decriminalise homosexuality. We've come such a long way since then, and I know I've said that so many times tonight, but it's true. We do really still have a long way to go. So, keen to open up to the panel, particularly maybe Charlotte, through to you first. Do you have any other thoughts about this, in particular what allies can do to progress our causes further?
All right, first off, can you repeat the question? I hadn't read them. Sorry. Really bad interviewee.
Perhaps I shouldn't have thrown to you first. Right. No, so the question was about what can allies do to support queer causes? Queer
Come to these events. Rock hard. Show your support. Help us all out. Like, show us you actually care and support us, and like, don't be all talk and no action. Put your finger at your ass. Like, come on. That's what we want. That's exactly what we actually want. We want action, not talk.
She always says it how it is. It's great.
I work in media.
Yeah.
I also happen to be a bit of a bitch.
We're all about keeping it real. It's very good. Zach or Jenny or Emily?
I don't know what I was going to say. You're making me think. Oh, goodness gracious. You made me think something that I thought was really significant for a second, and now it's gone. Yes, right, you do that to people, don't you? You do, yeah.
There's something about turning up, doing the work as an ally.
Yeah. I wanted to hark back to George Duncan, if I can go back 50 years, because I was deeply in the closet at the stage, but 1972 is the year I turned 20, so I'm actually very, very much in the generation of some of those young people that were thrown in the Torrens. And I know we focus on George Duncan quite a lot because that was the start of the legislation, but if I could jump forward to when I did come out in '93, there were still gay men being murdered in the South Parklands. And so when I was with the AIDS Council then, there was political moves to address, and we were talking to the police and talking to government and all these sorts of things that we're still doing today. But never forget that the violence wasn't just Dr. Duncan. The violence was lots of other, particularly gay men, but also trans people. And I'm sure also lesbians to perhaps a lesser degree, or certainly a lesser reported degree. But there's been a a long unhealthy tradition of homophobic violence in the city.
I think one of the things, you know, that I always think about when having this kind of discussion is, I think it was Kelly who said it earlier this week, it shouldn't take a death of a member of our community for people to take action. Like, sorry, that's bullshit. You know, I think with this video we have tried to inspire, you know, and motivate allies to take action. How do we keep doing that? How do we do it further? Scott, thoughts?
I just have something to add to the previous question. How I think that the South Australian community can do better is educate themselves. So don't rely on asking the queer community questions, because it's not our job to educate. We have to educate ourselves to discover who we are. It's not our place to have to do it just to be accepted. The internet's out there. Google. Like, I'm sure there's Facebook groups for people just trying to understand it. Join some of those. There's a lot of other ways than harassing the token queer at work.
Zach, you look deep in thought.
Oh, is that what that face is? Could you hear that? I couldn't. No, when I think about inclusion and I think about, you know, the things that we can still do, you know, there's a lot of services, you know, Shina say, Befriend, like the lipstick lesbian community right here, like with Gail and Lisette, they're all doing work to educate. The services exist, people just need to actually take the next step and, you know, as has been said, walk it. When I think about IDAHOBIT and I think about, you know, how far our community has come, I sit across a number of different communities, like kind of similar with Emmerich and a few others, you know, you kind of, if you're going to be a social deviant, do it all, have fun. You know, why not? Makes it doing that more fun. Not really, it's just me sitting on the couch with my cat, so. But when I think about, you know, how far we've come, one group that I think does get continuously overlooked because of social stuff is our same gender lesbian community. Time and time again, we're seeing that the lesbian community has, you know, they've sat at bedsides, they've held hands, they've stood in AIDS clinics, they lead Dykes on Bikes, the start of Pride marches following our First Nations groups. We know that there's lots of groups that, you know, our intersex community is still being unethically and immorally operated on. We know that there's so many different things are asexual. That's the A on the end of the acronym. It's not the allies. It's not about you. Again, you know, completely erased. So,
Polite as it is, yet again. Into the pun.
I felt inspired by Charlotte. So yeah, we stand on the shoulders of giants. Is that weight getting pretty heavy over there, Jenny? And you've done so much for our community, so but we can still keep doing more, and that's why nights like this are important.
I would like to talk about, on like the topic of allyship, there's quite an amazing organisation who I think now is based in South Australia, used to be based in Hong Kong, called Planet Ally. And they kind of have this idea that we're all allies too. And I do believe the language of ally is changing. We are an intersectional community, and we should be supporting all the communities that intersect with ours. So while we ask allies and people who support us to do things for us to make South Australia a more inclusive community for us, we also need to be making South Australia a more inclusive community for everyone, especially those people who sit on the intersection. I am a sex worker. I work for SIN here in South Australia. I see a lot of the intersectionality between sex work, gender diversity, and sexuality, and it is something I've had to work with, is navigating my gender both personally and professionally. And there is not a lot of support for that, because it's either like sex work support or queer support. So it's having those discussions and supporting intersectionality. Thank you, sorry.
Yeah, Nat, can we add to that discussion earlier on? Can we get some decrim of sex work? Like, that would be amazing.
On sex work decrim, I'd like to point out we have Michelle Lensing at the bar, who wrote an amazing bill once upon a time, and I would like to thank you. I'd also like to thank the Honourable Nat Cook, who spoke earlier, for her vote and her support of sex workers, and if Tammy Franks was here tonight, I'd also thank her.
I believe we got pretty close, perhaps the closest we've been recently, so put it on the agenda if it's not already. So I guess it moves to the last question, which is kind of a bit of a positive one. Today is also a celebration of our community. As you know, tough these topics are to talk about, having us all in the room together is a pretty special time. So what are you celebrating today?
Seeing my brother for the first time in ages. Andrew and ages, you look really good, brother. Just put it out there for you. For the future, I want to see more First Nations people up here speaking. No diss to my brothers and sisters out there, but I'm sort of over holding the flag. Sorry, yeah, that's me. But yeah.
You've been doing it for some time, and we love you, but also
give us a break, Charlotte.
if there are any First Nations folk or people of colour who want to get more involved with Sarah, please come and chat to me, because we always want to amplify your voices.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to par on speaking events like this to all these guys as well, and to Andrew when he's in town. Just putting it out there, and to everybody else. Like, we just need more people out there to help support us, help coming to all these events, and just being these most amazing allies and most amazing brothers and sisters that we have out there that's holding us up each and every fucking day. Even when we're feeling down. So yeah, we've got this. You know, it's been 50 years since decriminalising homosexuality. Let's make another 50 years where we can actually celebrate even more and be more powerful and more inclusive and more supportive of everyone in our communities. So yeah.
What are we celebrating today? What am I celebrating today? Being alive, being me. I've been celebrating that for about 29, going on 30 years now. Because I was a late bloomer. I didn't come out till I was 41. Well, not finally come out. I tried coming out when I was 5, but that was 1958, so it didn't really work terribly well. It's true. What I celebrate, I'm celebrating things like what I've seen. You know, this is worth celebrating. It's fabulous. And people like Zach. Now, when we were first trying to get trans support groups going in 93, 94, you couldn't get a trans man to stand up in public and self-identify. That was how bad the transphobia was. And so, congratulations, Zach, and all the trans mass guys. I just think you're brilliant, and it's really good to have trans mass guys on the stage, because I know back then it was impossible to, I certainly knew who they were in the community, and they knew me, and we'd meet privately, but to stand up publicly and self-identify was just not going to happen. So what else is there? There's so much to celebrate. But but that'll do. It's just, we've come, you may not seem it, when you get the candidate for Warringah being published in that other terrible Murdoch media crap, it seems like really shit some days, but when you actually look back to where we were 30 years ago, I just want to give a little plug to somebody who is not Michelle, but somebody who was a Liberal minister in the last Liberal state government, just gone, who I saw on numerous occasions at community events, and who parting words to me not that long ago was, keep doing what you're doing. And so I'm just recognising that we've got good allies on all sides of politics. They might not always be as visible as we would like, but they're there, and we need to find them, and we need to support them wherever they are. There we are. That's what I'm going to celebrate.
You want to go?
I don't have a mic, so I can
Your mic's
You gave it to me. Jenny, thank you. I was super excited today. I watched, some feedback, sorry, the Trans Mask closed Facebook group over the weekend ticked over 650 members. Which is incredible. Like I never thought when that group started that we would see, and these are people from all over South Australia. Like it's incredible. And recently, with the support of Sarah, we were able to launch the first ever binder exchange program. And thank you also to BeFriend for their support and China Sane getting that up as well. We've already had something like 17, 18 binders already make their way out into the community, all the way down from Goolwa to Port Elliot to the Metro. Like we're seeing now more and more people coming in, being able to access, affirming resources, and that's what I celebrate, that people are able to live their authentic selves, they're able to express themselves, they're able to be who they feel inside out. I'm seeing that.
Yeah, I think the main thing that comes back to for me is a lot of it is volunteer run by our own communities. Zach, you started Transmask, many years ago off of your own back, really. That binder exchange program is something that has come together out of volunteer work. It is National Volunteer Week this week, I believe. But that program is quite literally saving lives. And I know because I've seen the requests coming through. I think we're up to about over 20 requests. And there are young people out there who have been waiting for gender affirming wear for years, who are quite expensive, so don't have financial means to purchase them themselves. The fact that a program like that exists on the backs of volunteer, queer-run organisations that are not funded blows my mind, and is something that we need to change. Anyway, this question was actually about celebrating, so I guess I'm celebrating our community because we're great. But Emmerich, I'll throw to you.
So like every day I'm celebrating my family and my extended queer family, which I've discovered over the years and feel incredibly grateful for. Also, I'm celebrating, while Jordan and I have been attached to the hip since we were 11, it's actually our 2-year anniversary today, on IDAHOBIT Day. So happy anniversary. I'm also personally celebrating a step back into advocacy, which I was really into when I was younger, and then during COVID and having Arthur, I've kind of hermited a bit. But thankfully, thanks to Sarah, I have had the opportunity to come back out and be an advocate and hope to do more. So thank you.
so very lucky to have you. So thank you. John Alex.
Hello. I'm gonna probably start a bit dark and then get happy. Talking about like suicide statistics earlier tonight, I probably trigger warning if you wouldn't leave the room. I'm talking about something relating to suicide. I attempted probably when I was 11 or 12 was my first attempt, and it's something I've struggled with all throughout my life, and something I still struggle with today. And I'm mostly on top of it. I was on top of it until recently, when the religious discrimination bill passed the lower house, and I really lost a lot of hope and a lot of will that day, and I kind of was just like death walking. And the people who got me through that was like, I'd like to shout out Jenny, because it was the Sarah CAG group chat, and just being the support of Sarah and the support of our fellow community. And Jenny's been through it all before, knows how to get through it, and I would like to thank you and celebrate you, because you're all amazing. I'd also like, now getting to happier things, I'd like to celebrate Matthew Morris, because I love pointing him out. I feel like he was somewhat expecting it. I would love to celebrate all the people I run into once a year at queer events, and I've all run into again tonight.
Once a year, that needs to change.
It's like better together, and it's like feast and like things like the usual crowd. And I would like to celebrate everyone in this room, because you're coming here tonight like you care, and a lot of you are activists and people working in your own communities to like work hard and make South Australia a better place. And I'd like to like celebrate the politicians in the room who do that as well. Thank you.